Hey guys, this is Gina Versa. I'm here on another episode of Serving Up Comics, and today we're going to be talking all about Crisis on Infinite Earths, which has been taking the CW network and everything by storm. And joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Nick Valero. Nick, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's doing good. It's doing good.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by what the CW has accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
what they've begun. The only shows that are not connected to the DC CW verse is like Charmed,
Charmed.
which
Okay.
is
Archie.
like Archie and
Riverdale, I mean,
and like
yeah.
Riverdale and maybe Nancy Drew, but like that's probably like in the next part of the crossover that they'll stop over at Riverdale and stuff. But I mean,
Maybe, yeah, right?
well, okay, just so that way everybody has an idea. If anybody hasn't seen the Arrowverse or anything like that, it's a great thing to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It, it has what was it? It has so much great ideas and concepts. Do they stick the landing 100% of the time? Not at all. But
No.
that's not really the point. But this is the reason why I love it so much is because it's so much like a comic book where sometimes the
Hmm.
comic book isn't doing that great and sometimes it misses a step and everything like that. And you're like, I really like these last couple of issues. And then it just nails you with a great episode. And you're like, all right, I'm back in.
Hmm.
And it's so great to see how these little tiny stories are intermingling and kind of showing you what's going on in different things. And I love the way that they're using their stories, all their superhero stories, and they're using it just like you would in a comic book. If anything, they're they're doing something that's so interesting and
Oh, yeah.
so clever of
Very.
just, huh?
Hmm. It's so, was it serialized as well?
Yeah, and but not only that, but also there's so much goddamn heart put into it of like, all right, how do we do this? And how can we please the fans so much that they're just gonna love it, and it's gonna bring a nice little closure to it, and maybe we could do like a backdoor ending for something that never really got an actual ending.
Yeah, or, yeah, just closure to all the, pretty much like every single DC show,
Yeah,
right? Every single
yeah.
DC property.
Yeah, and I really love the idea of they literally was it, I think it was Mark Guggenheim who actually said there because he was talking about it. They go, how did you choose to do some of the things in crossover? Like how did you choose like what cameos to do, like what Earths
Hmm.
to do, and everything like that? And he goes, we made a list of 100 cool things,
Hmm.
and then the way that we thought of it is if even if we can get 50 of the 100, that was 50 cool things that we were able to do in the crossover.
Hmm.
And I think that is so clever and so cool. And it really shows that they give a shit about what the fans think and they know that it's their show. Like as much as we run it and we do everything like that, we make this show for you, the fans.
Yeah. I mean, Nick, I think you're the biggest CW fan I know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not CW fan, excuse me, Arrowverse fan.
Yes. I mean, hey man, I watch it all. I
You've
watch
been
Riverdale, I watch everything.
you've been busting your ass for the Arrowverse since date for 5 years now.
I was an Arrowverse fan before Arrow got good.
Uh, uh,
Like
Slug in there with the Huntress arcs and all that.
man, I remember sitting, I remember 8 years ago when they first announced Arrow, and I watched the pilot as it aired, and I've been on it ever since. And you
Yeah.
know what? It's been a long journey. It, Stephen Amell has done a great job as Oliver Queen. When I
Hmm.
think of Oliver Queen now, I do think of Stephen Amell
Yes.
and everything else. I don't think of Smallville's Green Lantern at all. And I do think it actually shows because in the comic books he looks a lot more like Stephen Amell, and I think that's really cool too.
Hmm.
Like they even brought in characters from the Arrowverse, such as like Diggle, Felicity, people that are in the show that were only supposed to be in the series for like a season or an episode or anything like that, but became such monumental and like great supporting characters that they just brought them into the comics. And I think that the Arrowverse has been doing such a great job, and I can't wait to talk about Crisis, man. Like,
Yeah, let's just go right into it. So with the first three episodes came out, it ended on a cliffhanger, like many great comics do.
exactly.
And yes, so Nick, what is the context of Crisis if anyone hasn't? Full spoilers here. Hasn't
So
watched
the
yet.
Yeah, so the concept is that it's just like in the actual comic book of somebody has awoken the anti-monitor, and the anti-monitor wants to destroy all realities so that way he could recreate reality in his own image.
Hmm.
Uh, and the monitor has basically selected heroes from the multiverse to come and fight for the multiverse. Kind of to make sure that the universes in the multiverse can survive. And he's been testing them over a period of time. So even in last year's crossover, the Crisis, which are the Elseworlds, in Elseworlds, and also Crisis on Earth X, he has been slowly testing these heroes to make sure that they are ready for the anti-monitor and they are ready for what comes next.
And in the comics, the Monitor was, pretty similar. They were constantly excuse me, the Monitor was constantly showing up in other books. So you see him in Teen Titans. You see him in like Superman until he
Yeah,
assembles, yeah, like a hodgepodge of heroes. And with all the heroes being like assembled by him, it really reminded me of that opening. And I love that the fact, let's talk about the guest stars.
yeah. I mean, for that, I mean, I think they did a really smart thing into these in the very beginning of all the seasons of their shows, except for Black Lightning and Batwoman, because Batwoman, it's their first season. They really need to kind of do their story, and Black Lightning has their own kind of like stories, and it's very entertaining. You need to go watch Black Lightning. It's really good. But in the main three, the Supergirl, Arrow, and the Flash, it has all been about Crisis. Like the only thing that these three have been talking about is mainly there's a crisis coming, and we need to be ready for it. And all of Arrow was just we're assembling heroes, and we're trying to get all of the stuff together in order to do it. And that's also kind of what made it feel like a comic book, because there were beginning issues that told you how exactly did we get to Crisis, how did these heroes get to this area, how were they in the mindset to what was it to conquer Crisis. And I think that was a great idea of the showrunners, and also for the CW to start all their shows like that, and then afterwards it'll just kind of be like an aftermath of, well, this is what happened after Crisis. Like now everybody's kind of dealing with it for the rest of their seasons.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, in the original comic, Supergirl and the Flash are pretty central. I mean, if you haven't read it, it's been like 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
I mean, they famously sacrifice themselves, and watching the first episode right out of the gate, again, spoilers, like don't listen to this episode if you haven't seen it. Like stop, put this episode on pause, but don't completely stop it. Don't turn off your phone. Watch the first episode of Crisis, which was, I believe, Supergirl on Supergirl.
Yes.
You could go to the CW app. Nice plug. So, and thank you, friend of the show Emma, for recommending that, because that's how I saw all of this. And watch it, and it's such a intricate episode. I mean, I'm just gonna like flat out say it. There's times where the budget kind of shows
It
a
does.
little bit. It
It
does.
does. It's a CW show. We don't have a lot, but we're making do. But they're
Yeah.
making like, but I did think that the concepts were there, and the emotion was still there and stuff like that. Like you were saying, the idea that they were able to get cameos from certain things in the very beginning of this and everything like that. That was really cool. Like the idea of they got Robert Wool. If anybody doesn't know who that is, he played Knox in the Batman '89.
Yeah. The
Batman.
that opening was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, he played Knox in Batman '89, and they do like a nice little cameo to Batman '89 because it is Earth '89, and he even says like, I hope you're out, I hope you see this big guy, and it's a nice little homage to Tim Burton's Batman.
Hmm.
You also have Burt Ward, who lives on Earth 66.
Yes, that was awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
You see, Bert. So imagine regular old Burt Ward, but this is still the Batman '66,
yeah,
and he's in a Robin sweater vest.
yeah.
Um, he's in a Robin sweater vest, and he's just walking his dog, and he sees the skies turn red, which if you're not a comic fan, that means that there's a crisis coming for
Yes.
the DC universe. Yeah, as many people know. And he's like, "Oh, what does he say? Like, holy,
Holy skies of death, holy skies of death. Holy red skies of death. That's what it was. It was
I
holy
love
red
that."
skies of death. Yeah, and then you have like these little tiny like cameos that just, like those were really cool. What was it? They have who else? John Wesley Shipp is Batman from Earth 90. What was it? They also have the cast from what's it called? Birds of Prey from the
Yeah,
from the early 2000s, which is
they had Titans too.
they had it. There was a Titans reference in which apparently they're Earth 9, which
Okay.
I thought was cool. Yeah, they said that Titans is Earth 9. Um, who else? They just had like a lot of they had Earth X. They had what was it? They have all these really cool just little cameos that show you how big this universe can be, and they show that like, oh yeah, like the universes are kind of collapsing into each other and they're just gonna get wiped, which I thought it was really funny because Titans is dead. Like Titans are dead. Like if anybody's been watching that show, the CW murdered them. Like in a flash, they're dead.
Yeah. If there was season 3, I guess it was a 2-season show.
Yeah, like if anybody really liked Titan season 2, in which Titan season 2 was really good, they died. Like so did like and like all the Earths are just getting annihilated. They're just getting totally wiped out. But like I was saying, the amount of care that was taken into it. The very beginning of Crisis is that these planets are being destroyed and this antimatter wave is coming towards them. It's coming towards Earth 32, and Argo City is the first to go. It's the first one to die. And you find out that apparently Supergirl's mom has been, took a page from her brother-in-law's book, and she made a ship, and they put baby Superman, Jonathan Kent, to a little space rocket, and they sent his ass off to Earth.
Very very poetic.
But I thought it was really funny, though. I actually, if you pay attention to what Superman and Lois Lane are saying, it's actually the dialogue from Superman. It's
Hmm.
Marlon Brando and what is it? And oh shit, what's her name? But Superman is basically saying Marlon Brando's lines, like
Hmm.
word for word. He's actually saying like what Marlon Brando said in Superman, and
Yeah.
it's great. It's like, oh man, like this is like there's so much care and such a deep cut that they're doing every couple of minutes. If they can, they're gonna throw a deep cut, and I love it. I loved it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like super rewarding as a DC fan. I would imagine. But yeah, let's just talk about some of the events of this episode. Um, what did you think of just Oliver Queen just up and dying?
Well, you know what?
He's just
They've been in Arrow. They've been marching up to this. Oliver Queen knows he's going to die. Like it's this thing where he made a deal with the Monitor that in order for Barry Allen and for Kara to survive this crisis, Oliver Queen needs to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so all throughout it, it's very cool that that he's kind of marching towards that. Like all throughout Arrow, he's getting to meet his future daughter. The Monitor actually sends his future kids to the past, so that way they can
Yeah.
help out in crisis. And it's some real touching shit. If you've been watching the Arrow, and then you got to this first episode where Oliver Queen dies, and it's very much passing on the torch. Which he gives the torch, and he basically says there always has to be a Green Arrow. And especially for him being the Batman of this universe, that's super fucking touching. That's what was it? Him passing this mantle on to his daughter and saying, "I know you can do this," and it's beautiful. It's really nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm just. It's a good end to his arc for sure. I was just still shocked that they killed off Arrow. I mean, this is the end game for for the Arrowverse, right?
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but also, especially since like episode 2 of it is all about how the fuck do we get Oliver Queen back? Like, we need to get Oliver Queen back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also really interesting too because you kind of see his impact on the team. Because every crisis that they've had Oliver Queen. They've had, this de facto leader who, takes over and is like, yeah, I'm like everybody looks to, like, Oliver Queen doesn't have any powers, but he is the de facto leader of the Arrowverse. But yeah, what do we do when our de facto
Mm-hmm.
leader has died? What do we do now? And it's really interesting. He does have a nice little hero's death. Running at the demons and everything like that, the shadow demons, and he ends up dying on a table. I did think it was kind of like an homage to Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
to Spock's death of the Barry Allen, "You will always be my friend," stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I thought that was kind of cool, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Stephen Amell is actually pretty talented.
yeah,
Really
no,
nice. It's a good show.
absolutely, man. I can't. I love him as an actor. I think he did an awesome job in the first episode, and leading into episode 2, where they then find out what MacGuffin they need to find throughout Crisis. How do we stop this crisis in the Paragons? We need to find the 7 Paragons in order to stop the Anti-Monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you, like Ryan Chen. You also have, what was it? Brandon Routh, Superman. You get to see Lois and Clark again, from Smallville. What was it? What was it? Like I said, John Wesley Shipp, from the Flash, '90s show.
Oh man, that was. I'm
That was a
sorry.
that was a great
That
ending.
was that was tough to see that because it's Barry's seen his dad pass away again, right?
Well, in
Kind
a
of.
way, yes, but also it's because he knows, yes, that's Barry Allen from a different universe. Like, he knows that that's Barry Allen. The hardest part about it is that he does look like his dad. So
Mm-hmm.
every single time that a Jay Garrick or or another Barry Allen dies, it seems to just he just has to watch his dad die all over again.
Yeah.
And like, it's just the wound that just keeps on fucking cutting, man. It just keeps opening up.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's really cool though, because I always kind of figured they would figure out a way, because the Monitor does say that a Flash needs to die in Crisis. Like, and that is true. A Flash needs to die in Crisis. And you end up seeing the John Wesley Shipp Barry Allen, the John Wesley Shipp Flash from the '90s TV show. And yeah, you get this like little send off of like him kind of even saying like, "Oh yeah, when you become a speedster for 30 years, you're gonna learn some cool tricks."
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the idea of like, oh, even though the show ended and it ended very unceremoniously. It ended like
Yeah, just
they didn't get a season, they didn't get a series finale, they didn't get like a season finale or anything like that. The show just ended. And
mhm.
just to have this like final goodbye for John Wesley Shipp, I imagine was awesome. He got to finally like have that catharsis of saying farewell to the Flash and Barry Allen. And
Yeah,
yeah, and I really like the add-in of as he's kind of running into the Speed Force and everything like that, that you do see a little portion of the Flash TV show.
yeah.
And that was really cool.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, it was a nice little touch, and I did think that it was really interesting too because when they did Black Lightning's episode that was in Crisis, you had the red skies. No one really knew what was going on. Their episode and their season just kind of continued, but the thing is that it still built on whatever like relationships they were dealing with and everything like that. And it was real fucking sad because if you're only a Black Lightning watcher,
Hmm.
by the end of that episode, you were fucking confused
Yeah,
because
because he's from a different Earth, right?
yeah, he's from a different Earth. But the thing is that like he's from a different Earth, and he just like vanishes, and like
Mhm.
the entire world just vanishes like into dust, and you're just kind of going like, holy shit, did everybody just die?
Mhm.
And they're like, come back next week to see what happens on Black Lightning, and you're like, wait,
Yeah, it's just
what?
gonna be Black Lightning and Void.
Yeah, it's just like it's gonna be Black Lightning in a void, going like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But I really can't wait to the end of this because they what was it they Mark Guggenheim is even mentioned, even though Stephen Amell is leaving and Barry Allen is staying, his absence is going to be a major thing in Barry's life because it's kind of like he doesn't have his mentor anymore. He doesn't have
Hmm.
his best friend.
Right. So he's gonna go to Europe and on a vacation,
On a
and this has
vacation.
nothing to do with another Marvel hero, and he's gonna fight these elementals, and it's not gonna be very good, but
well,
everyone's gonna say it's
well,
the best Flash thing ever.
well,
Like Far From Home was the best Spider-Man apparently,
I
according
don't
to
I don't
lots of people.
I
They
don't
saw a
know.
movie. They saw a movie that wasn't there.
I don't know why you're so upset with the Flash. The Flash has done nothing wrong. You
Okay,
have anger towards something totally
I
different.
think I have Spider-Man Far From Home. Like
Like
what a
you made a
what a
couple of
letdown.
you made a couple of connections that were not there. So
Sorry, yeah.
the cool part about it was that they were saying because Batwoman is becoming a bigger a bigger what was it
Bigger.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the show is getting really good ratings. What they were saying is they were going that Kara and and the hell's her name? And Batwoman,
Uh,
Supergirl and Batwoman's,
Kate.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kate Kane. Was it that Kate and Kara's relationship is going to kind of take over for that, that relationship of like, of, do we trust you? Do I not trust you? Like, what exactly do I do?
Hmm.
And even in this, they had that kind of cool little moment that Batman has in Tower of Babel with Superman,
Mm, yeah.
where she tries to give
So
him, huh?
yeah, let's talk about that. Kevin Conroy finally as live action Batman,
Kevin
or just
Conroy.
finally seen Batman on the Arrowverse,
Well, you
whatever.
know what the cool thing is that because everybody's been talking about like, oh yeah, he was evil Batman and he's a Batman that kills, and I thought of him as the Ben Affleck Batman, like it was
Okay.
his interpretation of Ben Affleck's Batman because he
Hmm.
just kills everybody and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's just like he's like, and he even made the comment too of like, even if there's like 1% chance that things could go wrong,
Hmm.
like we have to take it as an absolute. And I was like, oh, you guys are just making fun of Ben Affleck. All right.
Yeah. He
That's
was Kevin Conroy was he's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, he's a thespian. He was a stage actor before he got into voice acting.
Hmm?
So that's pretty cool. But I do like the idea, because no one seems to be talking about it. The idea when she says Bruce, she recognizes him
Hmm.
as Bruce Wayne from her Earth.
Hmm.
So that means that this is not the only time that we're going to see Kevin Conroy. If we get into a second, maybe even third season of Batwoman, Kevin Conroy could come back as Batman,
Hmm. Yeah,
because
I mean, I wouldn't mind.
she outright recognized him going Bruce, not like, oh, this
Mhm.
weird like thing, and he outright recognized her as Kate. She knows who the fuck he is. This is their Bruce Wayne. This is the CW's Bruce Wayne. Is Kevin fucking Conroy, and I am okay with that. I am okay
Yeah,
with Kevin Conroy being
he's
Bruce Wayne.
tall, he's intimidating.
Oh, his voice,
Hmm.
his fucking voice, man. Come on.
Yeah,
The only thing I was gonna
the
say,
first thing,
huh? The
the
first thing
first
was,
thing you hear of him is just the voice.
yeah, is the Batman voice, and it's so great. The concept is really cool. The idea of him being put, which, like, I like the idea of the thing that put him in the cybernetic suit from Kingdom Come was the battle with Superman. Like, that was the thing that
Hmm.
was his greatest trial. Like, killing Superman was the thing that utterly, like, retired him as Batman, and I think that was really cool.
Yeah,
It's a cool
no,
concept.
for sure. What did you think of Kingdom Come Superman, which also appeared? They're from different universes, from Brandon Roth reappearing
Well, I really
as
like
Superman.
I liked it because it's an easy way to get Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Right, because for all
And I
intents and
love that.
purposes, that's him in the
Yeah,
universe.
because Brandon Routh is technically Christopher Reeve's Superman, and he even makes an offhanded joke about Superman 3, where he says,
Mhm.
like, from somebody who's fought himself before, what was it? It's a real pain, because in Superman 3 he fights himself. He fights Superman in a junkyard,
Hmm.
which is a
And he
weird
gets
thing.
drunk in a bar, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and he's just throwing, and
weird.
he's just like destroying shit with peanuts.
Yeah, that's a weird
It's
fucking
so
movie. But
it's
where's
so weird.
then Richard Pryor comes in the Daily Planet, like, hey,
Yeah,
Superman, that
it's
supercomputer. That's
well,
not Brainiac.
I think that's the fourth one, isn't it? I think that's Quest for Peace.
No,
Quest for Peace is
Superman
the fourth.
3 has Richard Pryor.
No, Richard
Yeah, yeah.
Pryor.
Fourth one has
Is he?
John Cryer. John Cryer.
Is he?
He's yeah, that's why he's cast as Lex Luthor. He's Lex Luthor's nephew in A Quest for Peace.
He's in. Yeah, I know he's in
Okay,
four. Oh my
because
God, you're right. You're right. Richard Pryor is. He is in 3. Absolutely.
yeah,
But yeah, but I thought that was a really cool that was a cool, like, little way of getting everything in there. How are we gonna get Christopher Reeves as Superman, Tim Burton's Batman. They connected all the dots, and it was so goddamn cool. It was just so cool.
yeah, and seeing Smallville, Lois and Clark again was a nice little touch. I watched a lot of that show growing up,
Yeah,
and
and I also, but I did feel that it was because I saw some people that were kind of going like, oh, so we're still not going to see him in the suit. Like, Tom Welling's still not going to wear the fucking suit, and everybody wanted him to wear the goddamn suit. But I do like it, and I think it makes sense for
mhm.
Smallville, of him giving up his powers and giving up being Superman to have a family, and to
Yeah,
be and to which one, to be human, because
yeah, mm,
it's a great ending for him. And I love the line of just going of, like, as he's talking to to Cryer's Lex Luthor, and he's getting kind of lectured by Lex Luthor, of just kind of like, yeah, I didn't miss these talks. Like, I
mm,
like, I didn't miss these talks, talking to Lex Luthor and getting lectured. And I thought
yeah,
that was funny. It was nice little touches and everything else, and I really did appreciate it.
yeah. It was. I just loved that the kryptonite didn't affect him, and he just docks the shit out of Luthor.
Yeah, and I love that line of, like, oh, well, I'm still stronger. Yeah,
And
it's so cool. I love it.
yeah, it was great. I mean, let's just talk about the ending as we're winding down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oliver is now the Spectre.
Yeah, Oliver is Spectre. Lucifer is officially in the Arrowverse. What
Hmm.
was it? So is which are they are able to go to purgatory, thanks to Lucifer's help. John Constantine, Diggle, and everybody like that. And the fucking Spectre appears and gives Oliver Queen his powers, and that's awesome because it's such like who would think that the Spectre would show up? It's such a
Yeah.
like that's it's really cool. Not only that, but also what was it? Because the Spectre can be kind of anywhere and nowhere all at the same time, brings kind of like a new danger towards Oliver Queen
Mhm.
because he's already like a great assassin and stuff like that. Just to have these like mystical powers is going to be really really cool to watch.
Yeah.
I did think it was really interesting, kind of seeing what was it? Lex Luthor actually kill Brandon Routh's Superman.
Hmm.
You know,
R.I.P.
he changed the Book of Destiny, so that way Lex Luthor can which can survive survive the wiping of the Earths and everything like that. I thought the ending was great. I can't wait until it comes back because that's going to be which is really interesting because it's going to be Legend of Tomorrow's season premiere. So
Mm.
that's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
that's the fallout, I guess.
Well, the
Hmm.
thing is that their season premiere is Crisis. So if you have just been
Hmm.
watching Legends and you haven't been watching anything else and you get to Legends, once again, you're going to be fucking confused. Going like, what the hell is going on, man? Is this the new Legends team? Or and what was it? And it's really cool. I think that everything that they did, they really hit it on they hit it like out of the park. Like everything they did was really really cool. And
Yeah. We'll we'll do a follow-up episode, I guess, next month.
yeah, in January when Arrow comes back, when Arrow and Legends come back, and I thought it was really interesting too. The idea that Arrow, it doesn't end here. Arrow has two more episodes
Hmm.
after Crisis
Yeah,
to kind of finish off the season, and I think
definitely.
that's gonna be really interesting to kind of see how everybody in Arrow kind of deals with. Oh yeah, Oliver Queen's the Spectre now. You know, he isn't dead. He's just, you know, he's kind of like a god now.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think that's so cool because Stephen Amell wants to go do movies and he wants to go do a bunch of other stuff and
Wants to
everything.
wrestle.
He does want to wrestle. He actually that's his next show. Actually,
Oh
it's a
God.
it's a wrestling show.
Mm.
Um,
Um. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens next month for
yeah,
that. Or Nick, we're on the last segment. We're wrapping up here. Alternate universes are so interesting to explore in comic books. In some alternate universe in our reality, there were certain movies that maybe could have been made. A David Lynch Star Wars,
uh-huh.
um, but famously comic book movies that were never produced could have been made. So we'll do kind of like a lightning round.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on these movies? The best comic book movies that we never got to see. I'm gonna list these for you. Uh,
I do see the list. Like we have Jack Black's Green Lantern.
oh God. Okay.
That would
Yeah.
have been, but the thing is that I remember reading the concept for that and I thought it was hilarious because the idea of it was is that the Green Lantern ring was supposed to go to Hal Jordan
Hmm.
and Jack Black's character found it.
Hmm.
Like it wasn't that it was meant for him. It was just that he just so happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time
Oh God.
and
And it
became the
wasn't.
Green Lantern.
Mhm. And it wasn't that he was Hal Jordan either. He was like, I don't know. Was he just playing Jack Black?
I don't know. He was just playing some guy, and it was supposed to be a comedy. It was supposed to be a comedy of like what would happen if like this fat dude got superpowers. He got the Green Lantern ring. What the hell do we do now?
Yeah.
The ring is bonded to him. I guess we have to train him, and hopefully he does well. and
Right.
everything.
Did you ever see that MTV skit where he hosted like the 2002 MTV Movie Awards and he's like Spider-Man and like Michelle Gellar is like Mary Jane and it's like a spoof on the Raimi Spider-Man?
Yeah, probably
Like,
back in the day. Yeah.
yeah, it's just him being weird and like he's all flabby as Spider-Man and I'm like that this is like an executive saw that and was like, "Hey, that's funny. Let's do that for a whole movie."
Yeah, and I mean, it is. I mean, that. I mean, there's a reason why it didn't get made, and
Yeah.
everything else. I mean, the one I really really wanted to see from all of these like crazy ideas is probably which is the Superman one, the death of
Which
Superman.
Yeah, there's a great documentary by the late John Schnepp that you should
Yeah,
all see that we probably mentioned before. But the sorry, the death of Superman lives. What happened is an amazing documentary, and I have it on Blu-ray that everyone
yeah.
should check out.
I mean, honestly, the death of Superman probably is. It's so goddamn interesting, just because I think Nick Cage had such an interesting take on Superman
Hmm.
that he was just gonna be a fucking weirdo. And
Yeah.
like I just love the idea of like Nick Cage in the Superman outfit, and he was gonna be battling like Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Doomsday, and like
It's
he was
yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be
and
fucking weird.
it was just gonna be Nick Cage, and like the ideas he had was like, like what was it? Superman doesn't really know how to dress, so he would be wearing like a Mickey Mouse shirt with like a suit and
Hmm.
pants, or he would be laughing from a joke from like 5 states away, like he heard somebody telling a joke and he thought it was funny. So he's just
Hmm.
like, as he's walking down the street, he'd be laughing and stuff like that. So I mean, he would look like a fucking crazy person. His Clark Kent would have been a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Um.
Also,
Uh.
Justice League
Yeah.
Mortal, that would have been a good one.
Yeah. Mayor may not have read the script. Maybe it wasn't that great as a script, but it could have been good because it's George Miller.
Well, the thing is that from what I've heard is that the script that's online wasn't the script that the cast got.
Okay.
Like like the way that they got Common and they got everybody else. Apparently, the script was way better,
Hmm.
and it was like it was really like it was a really tight script. And then when they got all the rewrites, and when they got these, and right before the writer's strike, it went through like massive rewrites, and just like everybody was touching it, and it just got weird all of a sudden, and then it just wasn't good. Like it
Mm.
just didn't turn out good. But I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that's a great one. I mean, there's a couple of DC movies that I mean shouldn't have been made.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Green
Like
Lantern. Green
well,
Lantern.
shit, man, I was gonna say Swamp Thing, but yeah, I guess Green Lantern's
Yeah.
a good one too. I mean,
Um.
Swamp Thing's fucking
Yeah.
weird. Like if anybody's ever
Yeah.
seen that movie, it's a movie about a woman who wants to have sex with a
Mm.
dead tree guy. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's,
Just ending this. Mine would have been Spider-Man 4.
uh,
Uh, Spider-Man 4, because God, it would have been nice to have Raimi just go out one more movie.
what
Um,
was Spider-Man 4 supposed to be the Venom one? I thought that was
no,
supposed to be, or
no,
Vulture.
it's just Vulture. Yeah, Raimi never liked Venom, so the less Venom we would have seen. Superman 5, just to see. The Superman 5 is not the Death and Return of Superman. This is its own entity. Um,
Hmm.
it would have involved Brainiac. Christopher Reeve would have been back. It was hopefully it wouldn't have been produced by Canon Films
Well,
because
the interesting thing is that in the Death of Superman, they actually did want to connect Tim Burton's Batman to it.
Mhm.
That was in the original script. Is that
He would have.
Batman Batman would have shown up after Superman died on the screens of Gotham. It's in Kevin Smith's first draft.
Yes, he
I
would
don't
have
know.
given encouragement.
Yeah, he would have been giving
He was
the
like,
people of
"Hey,
Gotham
life
encouragement.
goes on.
Well, no, it was
There's other
what was it?
superheroes."
No, it wasn't even that. It was like your
Yeah.
hero may have fallen, but hope is not lost. Something
Mhm.
like that. Like there are still heroes out there, and they will protect this city till their dying breath,
Mhm.
and everything like that. Very much kind of giving them like, oh yeah, like just because Superman died doesn't mean that all hope is lost in this city and everything like that.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
I
Um,
like that. Like, yeah, just any like Superman, everything except like the J.J. Abrams flyby, Superman flyby, probably would have been good. I think so.
yeah, I mean, all those would have been kind of cool. I mean, I definitely want to see a Plastic Man.
By the Wachowskis,
Yeah,
yes.
I think that would have been fucking interesting.
Yeah.
If anything, it would have been
Uh,
interesting.
yeah,
If
with
anything,
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, if anything, right?
it would have been
Uh,
interesting. Like
yeah.
you
Oh,
you definitely wouldn't have watched it and been like, well, that was fucking like you would have definitely had opinion
mhm,
on the movie.
yeah.
Was it
Right.
especially? I mean, and now everybody wants to get Keanu Reeves into a superhero movie, because of like John Wick and everything like that. So I mean, the Wachowskis were way above it. They knew what Keanu Reeves could do, and
Yeah.
everything like that. Batman Beyond would have been cool.
Oh, for sure.
I actually originally was hoping that as like a small little deep cut instead of them having Luke,
Luke Fox. Yeah.
instead of having Luke Fox, I actually wanted them to have a Terry McGinnis.
And uh, in the
Uh,
Crisis.
yeah,
With yeah.
yeah, but the person that I wanted them to get was the guy that voices Terry,
Ah, that would have been awesome. Yeah.
because it would have been kind of like
Will Will
which
Friedle.
yeah, Will Friedle. I think that would have been really cool. He is of that age. Yeah, Will Friedle would have done a really cool job and everything like that. I mean, he does have some nice like on camera work and stuff like that from Boy Meets World and, and everything else. But I mean, that would have been kind of cool, and that would have been a nice little deep cut of like, oh yeah, this is Terry McGinnis, and especially when they said like it was the Batman of the future. Like I immediately went, oh, it's fucking Batman Beyond. Like, of course. Like, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, and some alternate Earth this would have happened, and yeah, probably most of them would have rocked.
Yeah, I mean,
But we'll never know. We don't have the Wave Rider.
yeah, we don't have the Wave Rider, but apparently there's multiple universes, and the Wave Rider is in all of them. So we just have to find it.
Exactly.
We only have
There
to
you
find it.
go. So Nick, just wrapping up. Where can people find you at?
You can find me on at the real Nick Valero on Instagram, and Nick Valero on Facebook.
Great. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Gene9892. You could follow the Waffle Press on Twitter at the Waffle Press. Follow us on Instagram at the Waffle Press Podcast. Please subscribe on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. You could follow. You could also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and also support us on Patreon. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We've been professionally unprofessional.